Hyperdrive now. 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 Hyperdrive now.
Seen you guys running.
Hyperdrive now.
The desert has called them. As dawn breaks, on a new adventure, the world is changing. This is the race for the planet. Extreme E is back. Fully electric off-road racing, where equality is true, and legends face a new generation. We're here to make a difference, to highlight the damage, pioneer technology, and leave a lasting legacy. As we accelerate towards a better tomorrow, our electric Odyssey begins here, where the blazing heat disorientates and the sands shift. Focus your mind. Remember why you race. The Desert X Prix is waiting.
Hello and welcome. This is season 2 of Extreme E, and we're all set to go racing again to see who will be the fastest, the most agile, the most willing to risk it all for victory. And it all starts in the deserts of NEOM, Saudi Arabia.
Just like last season, our mission is to race without a trace, to leave a lasting legacy and to highlight the impact of climate change in some of the world's most remote locations. And what a season we have lined up for you.
The first stop on our journey is NEOM, Saudi Arabia. This stunning, otherworldly landscape will see the teams take on huge sand dunes, ruts and rocks in the hunt for the first win of the season.
Next, the championship heads back to Sardinia, Italy for the Island X Prix, which last year produced some huge crashes, great battles. We're expecting the racing to be just as tough.
Next up on our worldwide adventure is the Ocean X Prix on the shores of Senegal. The breathtaking but polluted Atlantic Ocean waters will be the backdrop for our third event.
And our fourth and fifth race locations will see the championship finally head to the southern hemisphere with 2 stops in South America. First up, Chile, which will play host to the Copper X Prix. And then we head to the Energy X Prix in Uruguay, where the championship fight comes to a close. Told you, looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Does, can't wait. Well, we have a great lineup of teams and drivers for you. 3 driver switches, a brand new team to Extreme E, and so many championship winners that the Extreme E field is one of the very best in the world. Jenny, exciting, isn't it?
It's really exciting. So many talented drivers and teams here this year. This is Extreme E. It's season 2, and it looks like we've got 10 exciting teams ready to duke it out for the championship. Let's show you a bit more about them.
Extreme E has seen the world's best racing talent come together, where each team consists of 1 female and 1 male driver.
Season 1 winners Rosberg X Racing, founded by F1 champion Nico Rosberg, are back to defend their crown. 4-time and reigning World Rallycross champion Johan Kristoffersen returns, but this year he'll be joined by Michaela Arling-Kotlinski, who makes the move from JVXE. Can this new lineup retain the championship title?
Looking to dethrone the champs is Lewis Hamilton's team, X44. 9 times World Rally champion Sebastian Loeb will partner Cristina Gutierrez.
Jutta Kleinschmidt returns for Abt Cupra XE. The only female driver ever to win the Dakar Rally has a new partner for season 2 and is joined by 4-time and reigning Dakar Rally champion Nasser Al-Attiyah.
2019 World Rallycross champion Timmy Hansen and teammate Katie Munnings will race again for Genesis Andretti United in 2022.
With all the pace but none of the luck, Chip Ganassi Racing will be looking for consistent results in season 2. The all-American outfit having retained the services of drivers Kyle LeDuc and Sarah Price.
2 times World Rally champion and 4 times Dakar Rally winner Carlos Sainz's team Acciona Sainz will see El Matador once again pairing up with Laia Sanz. Veloce Racing have a new driver lineup. Christine Giampaoli Zonka makes a move from Excite Energy Racing and is alongside South African racer Lance Woolridge.
With Christine GZ moving on, Excite Energy Racing will see Oliver Bennett return alongside 21-year-old Swedish rallycross prodigy Clara Andersson.
Jensen Button's team JBXE and their driver Kevin Hansen will be looking to extend their podium streak in 2022. And with reigning champion Molly Taylor swapping teams from Rosberg X Racing, they'll be full of confidence that they have what it takes to make a claim for the title.
Last, but certainly not least, is a brand new entry from motorsport royalty McLaren. American off-road racer Tanner Faust partners Kiwi driver Emma Gilmore, who is McLaren's first ever female racing driver.
With 32 FIA World Championships shared between the teams and drivers, the stage is set for a dramatic Season 2. But who will lift the trophy?
Well, qualifying one earlier on today. Cars going one by one ahead, of course, racing side by side in Q2. Very much looking forward to that. Good to see Apt Cupra back, and they've got a new name for the car, the Tavascan XE.
Yeah, new look as well with different lights at the front. They've got some stuff that's made out of flax on there as well, really experimenting with what they can do with the car, which is exciting from a sustainability point of view.
Yeah, it certainly is. Yeah, they've got their own bodywork like the Hummer EV has as well. Nasser Al-Attiyah, four-time winner of the Dakar, was absolutely flying, but unfortunately made this mistake at the end of his run. Realised he'd missed the finish boards, looped back around, and in fact, if he'd just taken the penalty for a missed gate, probably 5 or 10 seconds, they'd have been a lot further up the order. So not the greatest start. Well, okay, finish, but I think they'll do really well come lap times.
Chip Ganassi next up. It's the Hummer EV and Carla Duke taking to the wheel, and then it was Sarah Price as well. Now, they had a problem. They got a little bump into one of the boards in that switch zone, so that cost them 5 seconds, and actually we saw a lot of penalties in the earlier session of qualifying, so that's one to watch out for later.
Yeah, we did. The stewards are being really tough on whether or not they slot completely into the right grid place. With all the penalties, though, if you took all the penalties away, the pace among the top cars is incredibly close, of course, including these guys, Genesis and Andretti United, one of the first pairings to be re-signed last year, and you can see why with the pace they had today.
Yeah, Munnings and Hansen coming together. Now, they didn't get into their bay in the switch zone properly. You can just see they're too far out, so they got a 5-second penalty as well. But Timmy was absolutely flying, set the fastest time this morning from the Continental Traction Challenge, so an extra 5 points at the moment penciled in across their name, and my word, he looked really impressive and comfortable out in the sand.
Note how committed he was through that corner, and keep your eye on that corner as we go, because it's the one which develops the most.
Yeah, and you'll see here, X44, Cristina Gutierrez and Sebastian Loeb, both of them pretty decent qualifying, and they've got a record of being the top qualifiers in every single event so far. Could they keep it up? That's the question.
There's that tight right-hander at the top of the hill, very rutted up there as well, just up on two wheels, not too badly for Gutierrez. But my goodness me, Sebastian Loeb had an absolutely huge moment on his run. Here's one of those steep downhills, look towards the driver changeover area. Watch how late they break. Loeb coming up, just flexing, you know, he's won Rally Monte Carlo, P2 on the Dakar, won the race at Champions. That's a pretty good warm-up for a season of Extreme E.
Yeah, it really is. Such quality up and down this field, but just look at this moment for Sebastian, because it didn't go quite to plan. Up he goes. Down he goes, just about manages to hold on. This is the corner that everybody has found so challenging earlier on. As we say, keep your eyes out for that, because it's going to trip someone up. You'll find out who in a moment.
It certainly does. Loeb breathing a sigh of relief after a bit of bicycling action towards the end of his run. Johan Kristoffersson, champion of Extreme E, of course, 4 times a World Rallycross champion as well. I mean, he's won Superstars, he's won Porsche Carrera Cup Scandinavia. He's without his teammate, though. Molly Taylor has departed the squad in favour of Michaela Arlen-Kotlinski, a decision made by the management at RXR at the end of last season. Johan taking a sweeping wide line here. We saw similar from Carla Duke. Lots of different lines through this sector, Desert and Jenny, different places for them to use their hyperdrive.
Yep, now they came into the switch, crossed over, and it was Arlen Kotlinski, her first proper run out in the Extreme E car for RXR, of course, bringing in lots of experience. She got a little bit lost at one stage, just knotting up and losing control of the car. It cost her a little, but not too much. all in all, pretty good showing from her in the first time. Bearing in mind she'll have a lot of pressure on her going into a championship-winning car.
Huge pressure. You don't sign a driver as the championship-winning car with any other, aim than winning or retaining your title. Brilliant job. They went to the top of the timesheet so far, and I think they were the first team not to get a penalty.
Yeah, they did well. Next up, it was JBXE, where Taylor has gone to. First into the car was Kevin Hansen. He did well. They got into the switch zone, and there you can see Molly Taylor not even in the JBXE overall, so new is the deal.
Yeah, very last-minute signing. Molly did the Dakar earlier this year, so another driver who's pretty familiar with the Saudi Arabian deserts. I believe it did head up towards NEOM. There was some rain as well on the Dakar. In fact, it got flooded out. We had rain during this session, which is why the sand was just a little bit heavier than some had expected.
Problem for them, though, they had a broken at the back. We think it was either the suspension or the drive shaft. Was it the drive? So they had a problem, very slow time. They'll be trying to fix that. Next up, Acciona Science. You talk about Dakar experience. They come no more experience than this pairing. Okay, Laia Sands got her experience on 2 wheels, but progressed to 4 wheels this year. And do we need to introduce Carlos Sainz when it comes to his experience at Dakar?
Well, it was only this morning that I realised that both him and Nasser have got 4 wins each. So there's a kind of grudge match there. I love the fact that Carlos, our senior statesman, I suppose, in the series, is still sending it like this. Go on, Carlos, no lifting.
Brilliant. Excite Energy next up. Ollie Bennett partners Tamara Molinaro this weekend. Unfortunately, his new driver, Clara Anderson, not able to be here because of COVID. But I tell you what, Molinaro's championship driver did a great substitution role. Yeah, brilliant drive by her. Ollie Bennett then out in the car. Not sure if we'll see it, but he gave us a little wave, actually, at 160 kilometres an hour on his run. He said, I quote, you're here for a good time, not a long time, which is a McRae quote. But also he said the straights are really long and they're really committed. Super fast. So they set themselves a really decent time, actually. Really impressive qualifying for them, getting themselves into 5th. I think that was a good job, well done. On to Veloce. 2 new drivers. So Lance Woolridge actually did drive for the team in the UK at the end of last season. Here he is through that tricky left-hander, which you can see is cutting up quite badly. He runs wide, drops off and off camber section, but gets the car through to the switch zone, crossed up on the brakes as he comes in. They were in the lead at this point, and Christine GZ jumped in, hoping to hold on to that lead. Yeah, new team for her. Of course, she's come across from JBXE, and she was going absolutely blisteringly fast, keeping up to speed with everybody else until this moment. Disaster. She gets the car just on its side, can't bring it back, and poor old Christine GZ takes herself for a trip to the hospital. She's hurt her right ankle. We'll get an update on her shortly. Long break then before McLaren could go out. Emma Gilmore had sat in the car for half an hour. They knew track conditions were getting tougher. Obviously made the decision not to go too mad on that first run because it was just, too tricky. Tanner Faust took over and matched the pace of all the drivers before him. Maybe slightly more risk taken by Tanner, I think, than by Emma. They'll want to get it right, Jenny. It's their first event. They need to gather data. They're behind all the other teams on that. Yeah, they've got a lot of learning to do very quickly, but Tanner Faust and Emma Gilmore linking up to be a really nice team, and I think together they'll do well. It just didn't quite go the way they wanted to. Qualifying through in 7th position for them, though, and gaining a huge amount of information. So let's have a little look then at how it stacks up. Fastest RXR leading X44 with Andretti United in 3rd, and a change of fortune for Chip Ganassi, managing to get into 4th place. Good for them. Yeah, fantastic. Now we can get an update as well from Veloce. After this crash, this was the accident that happened for Christine GZ. So let's go down and find out what's happening and the latest. Laura Winter is our pit lane reporter for the entire year, and she's been catching up with their team principal, Ian Davies.
Lance Woolridge there is working on his own car. Absolutely titanic efforts to get this car back on the course. And I've got Scooter here who's watching on a furrowed brow. What's the latest? Are we going to see you out in action this afternoon?
Alex, we've tried very hard. I think we're probably just going to fall short of making it happen this afternoon. If you look at the way the points are going to be, we're most likely going to end up in the crazy race tomorrow. So I think our priority now is to make sure the car is 100% fixed. We're still waiting news back from the hospital on Christine's ankle, which hasn't come back yet. So as much as the guys are working furiously behind, you know, our priority is to fix it properly, and I doubt very much that we will make the second qualifying.
I mean, I've seen you guys running up and down here with various bits and bobs. Have you had some help from other teams as well? There's been a bit of camaraderie around.
Look, there's a great lot of camaraderie, obviously. One tries to stay within the rules on these things, but needless to say, our neighbours, you know, Chip Ganassi Racing are fantastic. They were our neighbours last year, and we helped each other out, and they're helping behind the scenes. And there's various people behind tents bolting things onto hoods and tailgates, and yeah, I've had a bit of a go myself earlier, and Lance is obviously clearly working on the car. So it's a massive team effort from everybody at Veloce. And you know, I just think on this particular occasion we're probably going to fall short.
All right, well, we wish you the very best for this.
Well, a quick update. We have heard that Christine GZ has a broken foot, so I don't think she'll be taking part tomorrow unless she's feeling extremely brave. Very tricky indeed for Veloce. They may have to bring in their reserve driver.
Yeah, they will. They have got one, which is most important. But look at this. Heat 1, Heat 2 of qualifying. It is lined up to be tasty because we have some of the best drivers in the world going head-to-head. They all want an easy ride into the final. Will they get it?
There is no easy ride into the final here, is there? Absolutely not. So, yeah, brilliant lineup. Of course, among that lineup, we've got McLaren as well, and Zach Brown is down the paddock with Laura Winter.
Zach Brown, McLaren, welcome to Extreme E. Obviously a giant in the world of motorsport, but now here in Extreme E. What attracted you to this championship?
Oh, a lot of things. First of all, we're very excited to be here. I think it's consistent with McLaren Racing of wanting to be innovators and being a bit brave in some of our decisions. First time we've ever been off-road racing. But specifically, you know, sustainability is very important to us at McLaren Racing, as is gender equality. And so if you look at the kind of two core ingredients, if you'd like, of Extreme E is both sustainability, highlighting climate change and the beautiful environments we're in, and gender equality. Of course, we've got Emma and Tanner, our two great racing drivers, and then also really like the type of racing, the kind of the short form content, the digital nature. So, and then at the end of the day, we love racing.
Sounds the perfect fit then. A word on Emma, of course, the first ever female McLaren driver. That's a pretty historic milestone, isn't it?
It is. I remember when I first spoke with her, she came very highly recommended. I think it's pretty cool. She's from New Zealand, where, of course, our founder, Bruce McLaren's from. But first and foremost, she was chosen because we think she's the best female driver. And then, you know, having that background, her personality, her teamwork inside, you know, I think is very important in a garage or a tent, that you have two drivers that get along really well and have good feedback. So she's a great racing driver, a great personality, and very proud to have her as our first female racing driver.
You mentioned the landscape as well. Just how spectacular is this? What do you make of the course?
It's very spectacular. I went to the first Extreme E race last year in Saudi, which was a different location, and I find it absolutely beautiful. And you know, I can definitely see it's a second year of the championship. Vast improvements is what you'd expect from this first race of the year versus 5 races ago. So I think the championship's going to just go from strength to strength as we visit these unbelievable locations.
Thank you very much, and best of luck both this weekend and in the season as a whole. Thanks, Zach.
Thank you.
So good to see Zach Brown and McLaren. What a big brand to come to Extreme E. A lot of excitement, another big Formula One name in there as well. So really positive. Yeah,
Zach's a bit of a rally fan as well. I believe he owns a couple of very spectacular classic rally cars. So yeah, good lad.
Right, Laura Winter down in the paddock with keeping her busy because she's chatting to El Matador. Of course, the man it is, Carlos Sainz.
Carlos and Laia, we've seen you both in action this morning. There was the issue in the switch zone, wasn't it? We'll come to it first. The 5 seconds or so that you lost there. Have you looked at that, analysed what went wrong?
Yeah, well, first of all, we have in the change driver in the pits. I have some trouble with the drive train, with the bottom, and then Laia, she can maybe explain better.
I did a stupid mistake coming in the pit zone, and I was braking a bit too late. But we're learning from everything, and hopefully our run was quite nice. So hopefully we'll be better next one.
Well, X44 Abt Cooper alongside you. in qualifying. We've got side-by-side racing in qualifying. How are you feeling about that one?
Yeah, we are going to meet some old friends here from the Dakar, Nasser and Sebastian. So, yeah, we will see. We will try to do a good job.
And one word for you for this afternoon, Laia?
Yeah, I'm excited. It's not my favorite part when we are more cars, but I'm learning, so I want to really improve on that. So let's do it.
Let's do it. Thank you very much. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Might not be her favourite bit, but I cannot wait to see all 5 cars going for qualifying. And the fascinating thing is, as they point out, you've got this huge Dakar experience and quite a successful, trio in Loeb, Sainz and Alatia, all going next to each other in the heat.
You have such differing experience in terms of racing as well. Laia there said it's not my favourite when the cars are together, and Carlos, I imagine, feels the same. He's not done so much side by side, whereas some of the others really have. It's going to be spectacular, Q2. Can't wait.
Well, you can see the backdrop is stunning. The setting is going to be breathtaking, and 5 cars about to line up for you to take on qualifying. A very different type of qualifying. And Andrew, we've seen X44 doing so well when it comes to qualifying. They're top qualifiers.
Solo car running, though. Will they do as well when they're in the race situation? Of course, we did see a brilliant result for them right at the end of last year. So I suspect they'll be fine when it comes to this aspect, but it's new for all the teams, and it's going to be spectacular.
Let's have a look at the course then and guide you through it, because as they come, this one is pretty intense, 6.9 kilometers. What do you see as the key challenges, Andrew?
I think it's the speed of it, Jenny. When you can see there, they've named this section Speed Valley. There are several places where you can use hyperdrive to good effect. You can use it early and carry the speed across a whole plane. You can use it late and carry it up one of these very steep hills. Look, up to ridgeline, then you drop back down again. We've seen people use it through the next section, the canyon, and then on the escalator, which is the climb at the end of it. So lots and lots of options, but this track rewards big commitment. Unfortunately, it also penalises tiny mistakes.
Yeah, hugely, as we've seen already. Now into the Continental Traction Challenge. This is a section marked in yellow where there are 5 extra points for whoever can go fastest. So far, the leader is Timmy Hansen for Andretti United with a 1:05.810. That's what they're all going to be gunning for when it comes to those extra 5 points, and the decider in case anyone is level on points after today.
Looking at it as well, Jenny, I've got a feeling it finishes down at that corner where we had the massive crash earlier on. So I wonder how committed people are going to want to be. Are they going to risk it for those 5 points, or is that actually, has that ship sailed? Has the track broken up to the point where it won't be beaten? We've seen that in previous events as well, so they may have grabbed it already. Yep,
be fascinating to see what happens. As we say, when 5 cars go racing, you never quite know what's going to be the plan.
For the first time this season, welcome to the pre-grid of the first Extreme E race of Season 2, the Desert X Prix here in NEOM in Saudi Arabia. We've got the first 4 cars lined up and ready to go here for wheel-to-wheel action, side-by-side racing in Q2. And there we go, a little toot of the horn for us as well as a welcome. We've got the Chip Ganassi team right here. I'm going to hopefully not hit my head on the roof of there and jump in and speak to Sarah. This morning, that's gone. You're now wheel-to-wheel action alongside some of the greats. How are you feeling?
Oh, man. Never in a million years would I have pictured lining up against 3 of what I think are the legendary people of off-road racing. So this is definitely a bucket list for me. I'm excited to get out there and do the best I can and try to hang with them. And then, the end goal is the final. So we just have to make it through this race clean and make it to the final, because that's all we're trying to do right now.
Great stuff. We know you've got pace as well. Time to make it count. Thank you very much to you, Sarah. Okay, coming over here, Sarah mentioned 3 of the greats of off-road racing, and we have one of them here right now, Sebastian Loeb. You've got Carlos Sainz behind you, and you've got Nasser there as well. How are you feeling right now?
I feel okay. I know it will be a tricky one, because Carlos and Nasser are really fast also, and Le Duc also, it's a bit opposite with Sarah on the start, but it can be quite intense, I think.
It can be indeed. We've got a few spots of rain. Maybe they'll stick around for the race. Some wind blowing up as well. What are you expecting from the course conditions?
I don't know. If it's raining, it's the same for everybody. So little, maybe less dust if it's some rain. So I don't care. I will go for it and we'll see.
We'll see. I'm sure you'll send it no matter what. Thank you very much to Seb. Moving on, another legend. What a privilege this is. Carlos Sainz sitting in here. Carlos, wheel-to-wheel action. You've got NASA alongside you here. Sebastian Loeb there, and of course Sarah Price as well. Your thoughts ahead of this all-important wheel-to-wheel quali?
I could not hear you, but yeah, what can I say? I hope we have a clean heat, and you know, the important is to pass tomorrow to the semi-final and final. So let's see what we can do.
That was a good answer, considering you didn't hear my question. Thank you very much to you, Carlos. And moving around here as well. Now, he was very frustrated, wasn't he, after that first quali run, in which he went through the wrong finish arch. We couldn't get a word with him. He looked so frustrated. So I'm delighted to speak to NASA now with a smile on your face, putting this morning behind you, because you're now wheel to wheel with some of the greats who you've raced before. Your thoughts ahead of this one, please.
Yeah, actually, you know, today was a good run, you know, for us, except, you know, the mistake what I did, you know. But it's look now, it will be different race also, you know, 4 cars, and it will be not easy, you know, for everybody. And for me, it's the first time, but I will try to do my best, you know, to bring the cars, you know, to the other driver.
We shall see. Thank you very much to you. Indeed, NASA, good luck. There you have it. Just 4 cars in this one, of course, no Veloce. They are not coming out on to course. They are hedging their bets, getting that car race ready for the weekend ahead, for indeed the final day tomorrow. We shall see what happens. I'm going to hand you now to our commentary duo, Jenny Gow and Andrew Coley.
Thank you very much to Laura Winter in the pit lane and down at command centre for us this weekend and for this season. What a lineup this is. You kind of pinch yourself because we have such star quality. And, you know, Sarah Price, they're saying this is a bucket list for me. It's a bucket list for all of us, and I cannot wait to see, because you can't write any of them off.
No, and Sarah's playing it down a bit there. You know, I think a lot of people would regard her as a bit of an inspiration, a bit of a legend as well. So this will be fantastic.
Attention all teams, this is race control. Stand by for the start of the Desert X Prix. Qualifying round 2, heat 1 is about to commence. Energize your systems and prepare to race.
Yep, that'll get you in the mood.
Yeah, I'm all nervous and excited already. It is a shame, isn't it, not to see Veloce in the command centre. You could see they were missing from the left-hand desk there, missing from the grid here as well. But what a lineup, absolutely brilliant. Sebastian Loeb, P2 on the Dakar earlier this year, but he's had a hell of a winning streak, winning Rally Monte Carlo on his debut with M Sport Ford in the Rally 1 Puma. Carlos Sainz, he was with Audi at the Dakar earlier this year, right up there and on the paces you'd expect. Nasser Al-Attiyah won it, of course. I mean, it just doesn't get any bigger than that. And then Sarah Price is in there. So there you get an idea as well of the tactics too. So which teams have put which drivers in at what point and who's going to be lining up first for the final.
Yeah, just to let you know, first to pick their bay in this section and choosing, which I still find interesting, to go first, X44, and they picked the middle of the grid, which is very different to everybody else, and then Ganassi chose pit 4.
Well, so X44 have gone for the middle there, and I think they're hoping that they're going to get that quick start and get the straight run away. Remember, all the one-car runs so far have started sort of left, right, and middle, but all ended up in that middle position. They might also have gambled on the fact that Veloce were probably not going to turn up, and therefore they knew they'd only have one car to their right. But either way, you can see there the missing car of Veloce out in slot number 5.
Well, I think this is a big difference, a big change for Nasser Al-Attiyah. He's not used to that sort of side-on-side, wheel-to-wheel racing, but he's going to do it.
He is indeed. So old Dakar rivals, current Dakar rivals, just a few weeks ago, going up against each other on the run to the first corner. A quick glance down at the dashboard now to make sure you've got the settings dialed in that you want. A big, deep breath for Sebastian Loeb, the legend, who's about to go and do battle again. First time wheel-to-wheel this year. Of course, we had some great racing towards the end of last year, finishing off in the UK just a few short weeks ago. And now we go racing for the first time in qualifying in Extreme E Season 2, Q2. Loeb, Price, Sainz and Alatia. Woolridge missing for Veloce. Ready to race, lights on the left-hand side of the grid. Look for the green. Oh, it feels like an age for them all. You can see the varied lines on the run to the first corner. Green light now, brilliant start for Sebastian Loeb in the middle of the grid, but pretty even traction across the whole run. I think Sainz maybe's got a bit of run on him. Alatia dropping back. Loeb now takes the lead nicely. Sainz going to slide in behind or try and get alongside. Sarah Price moves across as they come up towards the funnel. She shuts the door on Alatia. Carlos Sainz still inside. Sebastian Loeb as they run further up. Take an alternate line. Loeb goes across the right-hand side. Sainz kicks the car up over the grass. Price has gone all the way across in the Hummer EV on the inside line. Sainz has got up alongside Sebastian Loeb. Has he managed to get through? More speed from Alatia, trying to come around the outside line, but it is Sebastian Loeb finally with the whole shot at about the second or third flag.
And they are bouncing around in these cars. We heard earlier you can't take the line that you necessarily want. And look at Price all over the back of Alatia. She is putting some serious pressure on him. And then look at Loeb just, getting closed down by Sainz there as well. Hyperdrive by Alatia.
Alatia trying to close the gap down. Dust isn't too bad now. Alatia looked fully lit in that dust, not worried about it at all. Remember, he does the Dakar a lot. He's used to running in these conditions. Loeb coming up to that rocky section at the top. He knows now what to make a move there. Price has dropped back a little way there. I think she may have used the hyperdrive. Oh no, maybe not. Maybe she's the only one who's got it left.
Quite potentially. This rocky section you can't overtake on. You've got to sling it round at gate 9 to the right. Very heavily rutted section there. You can just see Alatia getting a little bit of oversteer as he comes down. Loeb looking at his back. The X44 taking the lead and extending it now from Acciona Sainz.
Yeah, a little look to his right-hand side, didn't you? I wondered if Carlos was having a sneaky look alongside, but not so from that bumpy section up at the top of the hill. Price is just a few seconds back now, about 5 seconds off the back of Alatia in P3. Alatia used that hyperdrive quite early. I wonder if he thought, Jenny, that the extra pace would get him closer or maybe alongside. We saw Sarah Price pull out of this dust on one of those planes where you can just get a little bit more view. Look there now, really hard, but Sainz just keeps it buried the whole way through.
Yeah, difficult conditions to follow in, and actually just looking at Price coming down the hill, she took an alternate line to try and get away from that. Alatia now closing up on Sainz. You can see the gap coming down. A reminder, if you're new to this, 2 laps. They have to switch. The other driver gets into the car, so you need to establish a decent lead if you can for the second driver getting in.
So the dust isn't too bad. We had rain this morning, which will have brought it down a little bit, but you can see Alatia makes a pass up the inside of Sebastian Loeb. Absolutely stunning move from Alatia, carried mega pace through there. Oh, some contact between them. Contact between Sainz and Alatia. Sainz looks like he's got broken steering. I think they were either side of a flag there, maybe trying to make it through the gate together. Carlos Sainz over at the side of the road, and Alatia with that brilliant pass, Jenny, but something went wrong there.
My goodness, right. Sarah Price using her hyperdrive here. I think what happened to Alatia got onto the side of the car. He was almost on 2 wheels, bicycling, as you called it, wrote it down for future reference. And that's what steered him into Sainz. So the two of them came together. Sainz obviously coming out the worst of that. And they said before they wanted to go into this race, they just wanted to get through. Oh, Alatia is wrestling that car. He's definitely got a broken something on it.
Yeah, I think damage on Alatia's car, Jenny, good spot. He's definitely run wide in that long left-hander. So we'll need to take a look at the replays afterwards, but I think they were super close to one side of the gate. What I can't figure out is who was trying to get back into the gate, whether Sainz or Alatia was wide of it. Alatia had made that incredible pass. It was absolute. The pace differential between him and Carlos was insane. Now he comes down the hill. Look how late he is on the brakes. That's the experience of a man who races in the desert all the while. But have they done too much damage to be able to challenge?
Well, let's have a look what happens here. So you can see Alatia takes the inside line, overtakes, then he gets up on this section, goes wide of the flag and then crashes into Sainz, almost on toe wheels. So Alatia is definitely going to get penalised for that, and Sainz will be saying now, hang on a minute, he took us out.
On board with Sainz. Watch Alatia, he's desperately trying to get back. He's seen that he's going to miss the gate look, and as Jenny called it, bicycling. He was desperately trying to get back to that side of the gate. I couldn't figure out, I'm obviously not a boating man, am I, with the reds and the greens on either side.
Which
side of the gate, that's it, you're porting your starboard. Yeah, there we go. Jenny's obviously a woman of the seas.
Used to be a cox, you know, that's how you have to do it. Yeah,
there you go. We're finding out all sorts today.
Left is your port and your red, green is your starboard and your right.
There we go. So he was looking to come through the gate, and he realised, didn't he, that he hadn't got the line. So maybe that extra pace Yeah, it was a brilliant pass, but did he carry so much pace that he then couldn't make the right-hander? Tried to pull it back across and hit the Acciona Sainz car. So 2 cars down now. Jutta Kleinschmidt was shouting out there.
Something about the side, but I didn't know exactly what. So Sebastian Loeb gets out the car, hands over to Gutierrez, who will take over in the lead. Remember, you get points for the classification of this that carry over to tomorrow and help decide which session you go into. Now you can see incidents involving the Abt Cupra and Acciona Sainz teams are under investigation for causing a collision.
Yeah, I suspect there'll be a fairly hefty penalty because Sainz retired for it. You know, it's not just a missed gate now, as it's a missed gate and contact. But we do want to see them go and get racing. So Kyle Leduc looking up at his pit crew who are going to release him. Ah, the Sainz car is coming back. So Carlos Sainz has managed to get the car back. That's a great move because they know that obviously other people could retire. If you can possibly finish, you get the car back. Now, keep your eye on Chip Ganassi Racing. We know that Kyle Leduc is Mr. Full Set, but he's up against 2 of the best here in Gutierrez and Kleinschmidt. They will not give up that gap easily.
No, they certainly won't. It'll be fascinating to see. Now, can Acciona Sainz get Leia Sands out in that car? Is there too much damage? You can see bits of bodywork flapping around on the Taviscan for Abt Cupra. They'll want to nurse that back as well. Penalties looming, you could expect. But it's Jutta Kleinschmidt going up, trying to close the gap to X44 and Cristina Gutierrez.
Gap back look from Chip Ganassi Racing and the Hummer EV is only, it looks like only about 7 or 8 seconds. Yeah, Kleinschmidt's going backwards. Now, that might not be, remember, we think that car's carrying some damage. So Jutta Kleinschmidt, watch for Kyle Leduc now, taking an alternate line. He goes to the right-hand side. This is where the American is so good, remember. This is his style of racing. Going to come in super close behind. Alatia, sorry, so that's Kleinschmidt uses the hyperdrive, but extra pace here alongside. He's going to know what she's done. Is he going to respond and use his? He passes her anyway.
This is imperative because you want to get into the rock section and just coast away because it pinces down. There is Carlos Sainz walking away dejectedly from his car. They are still in the switch zone, you can see there.
Braking zone for that rocky area, Jenny. The ruts are getting so deep, you get to the point where you run the car in on the guards. OK, there's the damage to the side. They've retired the Sainz car. If it gets much deeper, what you'll find is when people brake, the cars actually surf in on their underguards, so the wheels are up in the air, and that makes the braking zone even trickier. Of course, it's only one car wide. It's pretty amazing when you're in the car and it's not stopping like you thought it would, put it that way. Yeah. Gutierrez now trying to hold off Chip Ganassi Racing. What's that gap back between them? Kyle Leduc has got Kleinschmidt, but we know Kleinschmidt's car was damaged from that contact with Sainz from Alatia.
This is fantastic to see. What can he do? Can Kyle Leduc hunt down Gutierrez, who is an expert in these conditions as well? She's been an expert when it comes to qualifying, helping the team to be top qualifiers for every single session. She was worried about this coming into it, saying they were worried they'd lose their advantage because all of a sudden single qualifying's gone. But let's have a little look at the gap between them now. This is Gutierrez versus Leduc. Gutierrez on the left in the number 44 car, Leduc in the number 99 car.
So they're given a 5-second penalty to Abt Cupra for missing the gate, but nothing so far about the contact. They may deem it just a racing incident. Leduc has managed to take about 2 seconds off Gutierrez, but Gutierrez is such a class act that he's not able to make that much of an impact. And Gutierrez for X44, remember, still has, I think they both still have their hyperdrive coming around now. This is the tricky left-hander at the bottom of the hill. Just got to take it steady through here. We saw low bicycle through there earlier on, and then we saw, of course, that huge crash for Christine GZ. Look at her exit line, nice and tight, keeps the car out the ruts.
Yeah, she's made a deserted effort, hasn't she, to go right across, and she uses her hyperdrive now. Gutierrez coming up towards the final moments of this course. She's done a sterling effort out there, kept it clean. Loeb set her up, and now she comes down the hill towards the finishing line, and she is going to keep the clean sweep. Top qualifying once again in the first of our qualifying races. It goes to X44. Congratulations to Loeb and Gutierrez. What a lap it was, an absolute stunner.
Very, very impressive.
Now that is the...
Yes, Leduc coming through in P2. Look, he managed to take a few seconds off, but again, Jenny, there's a point at which you stop risking it because he'll know I'm not going to get close. And this is going to be a mega performance from them. Remember what bad luck they had last year. They were P4 in Q1. They've now got a P2 from here, so that'll be 8 points from this. But don't forget, there's another qualifying race with the same points up for grabs. So I think RXR are the only people who can deny X44, aren't they?
Yeah, I think you're right, but look at this. The Abt Cooper car, it started so beautifully. It looked so great, but Jutta Kleinschmidt is now having to absolutely just hang on to this car to try and get it round. You can see the force, the effort that she's having to put in. They obviously picked up considerable damage with that clash with the Sainz car. They're going to pick up more penalties, one would imagine. They've already got 5 seconds. They can still go through, but I think they're going to have to fight themselves out of a mess tomorrow, maybe into the crazy race. Let's see what happens.
I think the biggest mess they've got to fight themselves out of is the stewards' room, Jenny, personally, because I think that's where they're heading in about the next 5 minutes. But you know what? We want to see good racing. I know Sainz will be disappointed. He said before the race, I want a clean race. Look, here he is now, talking with Sebastian Loeb alongside him. The legends meet again. They sat together, didn't they, in the car in Senegal last year, and everyone wondered what they were having a little whisper about. Jutta Kleinschmidt, meanwhile, is just battling to get it back. Get it back, because somebody else might have a worse run than you in the next race. Gutierrez, all smiles. There's Dave Richards on the right.
Yeah, that's why I use the hyperdrive in other places to see. Yeah. Because in the last uphill it's good to use.
Talking about where she used the hyperdrive there, Jenny, in the last uphill it's good to use it, and that could be critical when you want to, you know, if you're battling for the win, if you can hang on to it, because that climb is so steep. Is that where Jutta is now, or is she on the previous one?
Just going down
previous
22.
One. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the section that we've seen so many people have incidents with. I just wonder if the steering's gone.
Jenny, yeah, you can look at how much her arms are shaking. These things are incredibly difficult to drive without power assistance, as we know. So you just have to keep your steering inputs minimal, and she can't fight the car through the rut, so she won't attack anything because the steering will be pulled from your hands and then you end up rolling the car, and she knows they've got a little bit of work to do anyway.
I spoke to her actually the other week at the launch of this car, and she said she loves training, she loves working out just as well, because this is a real workout session, isn't it? It's a beast to try and handle around in the sand anyway, but add to that a damage to it, faulty power steering that's gone.
There's a lot of damage on the right-hand side under the what is the passenger door, because of course these cars are left-hand drive, but there's a lot of damage there which will be from the contact. It's right down in the sill of the car. Hopefully it will only be to the flax body work on the outside. But we'll see.
They can redo parts of their car in 6 hours because they can print them off. It's very impressive, but I'm not sure it's going to help them out at this moment in time.
No.
So that is all of our cars that can do across the finishing line. Loeb, Gutierrez leading the way for X44, then Carl Leduc and Sarah Price for the number 99 car of Chip Ganassi Racing, and Jutta Kleinschmidt bringing it home after that incident with Nasser Al-Attiyah crashing into Carlos Sainz. You can just see she's trying to get the cramp out of her hands from holding on to that for so much time, but another faultless performance from X44.
Yeah, so X44 were P2, remember, in Q1, and they've now won this race. So that's going to give them 10 points from this session, and I think 9 from the previous one. So the only people who can deny them are RXR, who won Q1. If RXR win their qualifying race here and take 10 points, they'll deny X44 the TQ by 1 point for the first time ever. But as we've just seen, Jenny, that is by no means a foregone conclusion, is it?
No, absolutely. And the other thing to bear in mind is the traction challenge sector, which can be a decider if people are level on points. So that's another thing. That's our sector 3. So we'll keep an eye on that. And I actually think we've got a faster traction challenge now. Carl Leduc's at the fastest time out there.
What was
no, it wasn't quite faster,
106?
actually. My apologies, he was slightly slower, but it was close, very close.
So at least it's still on. That's the thing, is it? Because we weren't even sure it was still on. Now, this was off the start. Look, Sainz got great traction. Look how deep the ruts are off the start as well. That grid is developing a lot. So Sainz looked like he dropped behind X44 here, but he pulls out from behind Loeb. Look, does he take an alternate line? Oh, in the background, look at that. That was incredible. I think that was that Nasser Al-Attiyah jumping to the inside line. Sarah Price went defensive on the run up to the left-handers. And then this is the moment, Jenny, with the pass. Great pass by Al-Attiyah, but he just needed a little lift here and turn it in a little bit earlier, and he would have made that, I'm confident. Of course, he would have compromised his exit speed on this long straight, which is why he was so desperate to keep his foot in the throttle, but it was too much.
I think this is the problem when you come to this as a new Extreme E driver. So much can be learned very quickly, but as you can see, the impact big on Carlos Sainz and gave them nowhere to go, really. But you've got to learn fast in this, and I'm sure NASA will. That's a couple of mistakes he's made so far, but the team will pull together and they'll work out what best they can do.
So Jutta Kleinschmidt at this time, we think, was already nursing a damaged car. Maybe the steering hadn't gone at this point because she used her hyperdrive on a really long straight, and I don't know that I'd be doing that if my steering wasn't working too well. They're the ruts that we're talking about in the braking zone up towards the top, and you can see the rut in the middle actually starting to get the crest getting flattened off by the underside of the car. So Carl Leduc made up the one place. Great drive from him and Sarah Price in the Hummer EV. Maybe, but I daren't say it, Jenny, maybe their luck's changed.
Don't say
it.
No, don't.
I've said it.
Well, you've said it now. There we go. That's the brakes. But yeah, a really good session and a really good day for the Chip Ganassi racing team. They'll be delighted.
No, not a single blink on those high-speed sections. So you blink when you get to the low-speed stuff. That's when you can afford to give your eyes a little rest from the sand and the brightness. Little nip on the handbrake to get the car turned in, look down the hill. Lovely job.
Just love watching them. The onboards are brilliant in this sport. You really get a real good view, an idea of what the drivers are having to go through. I think you can say that the first race of qualifying was fairly successful, Andrew.
I think so, yes. It was
dramatic.
Well, this of course is why we wanted to go racing on day one this year. You know, last year the rules were changed and it was single car qualifying. Here in Saudi Arabia, we ended up with single car qualifying for Q1 and racing in Q2. I mean, Kyle Leduc said he just wants to race all 10 cars together, was what he said last year. That's maybe going a bit far, but... So Q2 Heat 1 results, X44 winning from Chip Ganassi Racing, Abt Cupra P3, Acciona Sainz in P4. But bear in mind, those two teams in third and fourth are under investigation because number 125, the Abt Cupra machine, caused a collision with number 55, the Acciona Sainz car.
Well, that was qualifying, Heat 1 of qualifying 2, under the backdrop of NEOM in Saudi Arabia. Beautiful setting for some beautiful racing. And we cannot wait to bring you the next session as well, because the talent just keeps on coming. Those drivers are so impressive, aren't they? And another 5 teams, actually 5 as well.
Yes, exactly.
Will go head to head.
Yeah, 5 cars in this one, because of course Veloce missing from the last one. If you have missed any of the show so far, Christine GZ had a massive crash earlier on in the Veloce machine, and we think she's got a fractured ankle, not a broken ankle, a fractured ankle. So obviously wishing her the very best. Amazing backdrop, absolutely lovely. And as I said, Jenny, great racing. Sun's low already, look in the sky. A couple of months earlier than we were last year. Temperatures are much lower in the mornings and the evenings, down I believe to 4 or 5 degrees centigrade. So there's a certain amount of dampness in the ground anyway. I think people think the desert's hot at all times. It's not, it's very, very cold at night. And obviously, I say a little bit earlier in the year, you don't have quite the retained temperatures from earlier on in the day. Look at this picking your line over the top of the grass there. I think Leduc actually stuck one of those smack in the middle of the car. Could see this battle going on up front and was probably hoping there'd be a bit of contact with them.
Yeah, it's really interesting actually, isn't it? Being on board with Price and Loeb at the same time, seeing the differences in lines and actually just seeing how much the dust impacts on you. That's the moment when Alatia comes through and past. Wowzers.
Yeah, my bad, Price, not Leduc. Did you hear the noise of the dirt when she crossed behind the airstream, you know, of the car in front? You could just hear rocks clattering into it, and then this is the high-speed stuff. Now, right, look at Price on the left now. You can see why she's moved to the right. She's giving herself just enough vision. But then look at the grass just comes up. If you're offline by a foot, you're going to have a big one.
Yeah, that's really troublesome, really hard, and you've got to line yourself up for this skinny section as well, over the rocks. And this is the part Andrew was saying, it's cutting up really badly. So I think it was when Kyle Leduc did it, he was on 3 wheels going around there. There was just nothing to hold the front right down. Yeah,
you can see Sarah fighting the wheel on the way in, and that's something that those ruts do. There are certain, when the ruts at a certain depth and you can't take a completely alternate line, you just have to suck it up and chuck the car into them. You almost use them like rails, and at that point you're praying you don't get thrown out of them, because they're effectively giving you your trajectory through the corner. Again, they're breaking up on the crest that you just saw Sarah go over through the crest right-hand side there. So track conditions really changing.
Yeah, you can see she went far right, didn't she, just to try and avoid the dust coming up and the sand from the 3 cars in front of her. You can see Loeb out in front, none of the visibility issues that Price had. So they've always said, isn't it, first to the post and you give yourself a decent advantage, and that's exactly what they've done once again.
I think the start's really important. I don't think it's as important as it was last year. If you remember in Saudi last year, it was so dry and the dust was a bit lighter. It was more like fesh, it stays in the air for longer, and it was literally like driving through fog. So we saw 30-second intervals instantly if you lost the start. We didn't see that. Obviously, you know, if you look, without Alatir and Sainz were within 5 seconds of Loeb for the entire of the lap until they had their contact.
Yeah, that contact was obviously big, and Loeb out in front didn't know anything about what was going on behind him. He just plain sailing all the way, wasn't it? A real masterclass in how to do this, and you can see on the left, Price in there. She knows her targets. She just can't quite make it to get to them.
Fantastic to be back in Saudi Arabia for round 1 of Extreme E 2022, Season 2. Some upgrades to the cars at the end of last season, some upgrades coming later on this season as well. In fact, before round 2, new teams, driver swaps, all sorts of exciting things, and of course, new format. So this weekend, for the first time, we're racing in Q2 instead of going 1 by 1. And Jenny, I'd say that was a pretty decent start for racing in qualifying. Well, unless you're Carlos Sainz.
Well, yeah. I think it's really interesting if we watch these slow-mos, the super slow-mos of the cars and how they propel themselves through this. There are sections of this sand which are super grippy, others which have no traction whatsoever, and you can just see the difference behind Price coming in towards this #1 waypoint flag, and she needs to scooch in, but look what happens already when she does that.
Watch for Alatir in the background. He's made the cut back through to the inside line, look, and jumps up over the crest. Price has kind of shut the door there, and he's tried to cut. Look at the sandy floor, bucking away in the background there, just hanging on to it.
Yeah, absolutely fabulous to see these cars in action like this. It was the X44 car leading the way, Axiona Sainz and the Apt Cupra as well.
That's those big ruts up towards that rocky area, but they're just starting to smooth off the top of it. So 2 or 3 areas on the track now which are getting very tricky indeed.
Okay, let's go down to the paddock. As we said, Laura Winter is there for us all this season. She's been catching up with our runners and riders, and the one doing just that, it was X44 winning in style once again.
I'm with a very happy Sebastian Loeb and Christina, who have just been reliving their run. A brilliant start from you, Seb, to get you into the best position on a dusty course.
Yes, for sure. I had a good start, so we were ahead in the first corner. That's what we wanted for a course like this, because it's fast and dusty, and so I could manage to stay ahead until the end to create a little gap, and Christina did a great job after. So we won the Q2. It means that we will be, I think, first or second of the quali, depending on the second hit.
It gives you a very good position as well, of course, going into tomorrow for the semi-finals. How important, seeing that start and seeing the run, is that grid position for tomorrow?
Yeah, it's important. Yeah. As you see, the start position is very important for all the teams, so we try to push hard in the qualifying to take the best position tomorrow for the semi-final.
And Seb, it's tough driving, isn't it? How much do you have to look after the car? We are seeing cars braking in and out of the various camps here.
Yes, the road is quite destroyed now already, so tomorrow will be very tough, I think. It's not easy to keep it on the wheel. It's easy to lift some inside wheels in the corner, so we have to be a bit careful. For the rest, the car, we know that they are braking if you have too heavy contact, so the best is to go ahead and to see no one. That's what we've done, so we try to continue like that.
Get in front and send it. I love it. Thank you very much. Well done to you today. Good luck tomorrow.
So our 2 fastest qualifiers so far, it is X44, and behind them the Odyssey 21 blinking away. Now they said yes, if you hit each other you will crash, and that's the case, but let's find out a little bit more about that all-electric unique SUV. This is the Odyssey 21, the challenger for Extreme E.
Extreme E's revolutionary electric SUV, the Odyssey 21, is an outstanding feat of racing technology and is designed to take on perhaps the toughest challenge in motorsport. The car's battery, produced by Williams Advanced Engineering, stores 40 kilowatt hours of usable energy, the equivalent of a 540 horsepower combustion engine capable of creating 1,000 Newton meters of torque. The Odyssey 21 is equipped with dual motors feeding the front and rear axles independently. The driver can move the torque balance between the motors directly from the cockpit. This allows them to maximise energy efficiency to the wheels, depending on factors like speed, grip and terrain. The chassis, crash structure and roll cage are all manufactured using a niobium reinforced steel alloy tubular frame. This provides strength, flexibility and protection to the drivers in a series that has already seen some spectacular crashes. Christina Gutierrez is off! She's into the trees! She's rolled the car! Oh, look at that! It's one of the biggest accidents of the season! The bodywork is made from a high-performance natural flax fibre composite, which is not only a renewable CO2 neutral material, but also lightweight and durable. Large ventilated disc brakes are responsible for slowing and stopping the car, whilst the huge dampers of the suspension system are designed to absorb the impacts of the varied environments it will race upon and can be adjusted to suit conditions. The all-purpose tyres designed by Continental will provide unrivaled grip, whilst innovating sustainable technologies, and will provide racing performance on the challenging terrains. For Season 2, Continental have developed a brand new tyre with an even more sustainable approach. It will see an all-new thread compound now being constructed from rice husks, as well as recycling roughly 58 PET plastic bottles into each tyre. The electricity used to power each Odyssey 21 is created on site sustainably, converting solar energy into the hydrogen fuel cell unit provided by AFC Energy. The Odyssey 21 is built to deliver unparalleled performance as sustainably as possible in the most extreme environments.
Well, that race has almost certainly whetted the appetite, hasn't it? Absolutely brilliant stuff there in that Q1 race. The X44, of course, in Heat 1 of Q2, I should say, that X44 one. I've got Timmy Hansen right here of Genesis Andretti United. Well, Timmy, we've just seen a collision in that first race. We expect it in wheel-to-wheel action. You're used to it, aren't you, in rallycross, really? What are your thoughts ahead of this one?
Yeah, I'm used to that, but those cars are really built for contact, and these aren't, I guess. So these are, you know, heavier cars and tough to race. So it's a whole different thing racing here in Extreme E, and I'm new to this. You know, I don't have more experience than anyone else. So I've got that right-hand most line. We didn't see Velocia using it, so well, anyway, I'm gonna just do my best from in there. Hopefully, I'll bring the car back in one piece, you know, for Katie to do her run, and we already have a solid result from Q1. So bring the car home solid again in Q2. Of course, we want to win, but most of all, we want to finish and bring it home safe. We don't want to be left out there, you know.
Play it safe, but play it safe quickly. I like your style. Thank you very much, Timmy Hansen. Okay, moving across then, we've got our XR, of course, defending champions of Extreme E, and it's Michaela in the driving seat here. Of course, the driver's switching between the two qualies. I'm going to just lean in here. I think she's talking to her team. Michaela, hello.
Hi.
Here we go then. We've got some wheel-to-wheel action. First time in Extreme E for Season 2. What are your thoughts ahead of this one? Timmy Hansen and the like alongside you.
Well, I mean, I've raced against some of them previously. It will be exciting, that's for sure. I mean, it's really good drivers and rallycross drivers and experience and so like that. But I mean, I'm just going to try to do my thing and do my best, and then we'll see where that takes us.
We shall see indeed. Thank you very much. Good luck to you. Handing over, hopefully, to Johan in a decent position. And we've got Ollie Bennett. Just 3 cars on the grid at the moment. We are still awaiting a couple of others. Ollie Bennett here for Excite. A little wave to the camera this morning. You are obviously feeling quite relaxed out there.
Yeah, I'm having fun. You know, I'm glad to be here back in Saudi racing again. The track seems to suit my sort of driving, so I've been enjoying. The pace has been pretty good, and yeah, I'm just having fun.
just having fun. Well, good luck, have fun out there. We've got some wheel-to-wheel action to come, which should be exciting. Thank you very much then to Ollie Bennett. We've got McLaren and JBXE. We are awaiting them here on Prix before the cars indeed head up to the start line, and then we begin this second race of Quali 2 this afternoon. It's going to be a good one.
Attention all teams, this is race control. Stand by for the start of the Desert X Prix. Qualifying round 2, heat 2 is about to commence. Energize your systems and prepare to race.
So we are set up for qualifying to Heat 2. We will see 5 cars taking to this track. 6.9 kilometers. Plenty of problems out there. Plenty of things that could potentially trip you up, and plenty of ruts waiting to snag your Odyssey 21.
Yeah, cars are holding up really well, aren't they, on what is undoubtedly a tough course. You know, it's rough out there. The guys have been working super hard to get them upgraded. They've been brilliant since the UK last year with all those improvements, and I'm expecting a great race here with... Jenny, you were saying earlier you quite fancied being in this one as you thought it was easier. I'm not sure. Is that maybe a meh?
I'm not always right, you know. I'll say that now, there and then, right now. So it's fascinating to see where everybody's picked, because Andretti United had second pick, and they've gone way out to the right. But look, no grooves in front of them. How will that play out, Andrew?
I think potentially they could get great grip off the line if there's no ruts. It depends, doesn't it, if it's too loose. If those other ruts have dug down to the point where they're on bedrock, maybe they'll be at a disadvantage. The reason they've gone that side, of course, is turn 1, if you like, is kind of a right-hander where we saw Alatia jump to the inside line. But they need to get the whole shot to get there first, and up against 4 others, that's going to be tough. Yeah,
so in the car, you have Taylor for JBXE to the far left, then Tanner Faust for McLaren. You have Excite Energy, Ollie Bennett. Then RXR is Olin Kosalinski. She's new to that team. Taylor being replaced in the championship-winning car. And then it is the Genesis Andretti United of Timmy Hansen. You can see them all lining up. They are ready to go. 2 laps on the clock.
Yeah, I think we just saw the minute board disappearing off the front. You saw Tanner Faust make eye contact with them. As a general rule, the marshal on the front there will look at each driver to get a thumbs up from them, you know, as if to say, do you acknowledge what's about to happen? I think they're pretty aware.
Do you acknowledge what's about to happen, Andrew?
Well, I'd love to know what's about to happen, as would everybody on this grid, but it's going to be another fantastic race.
I fear for this, but I'm very excited about it as well. You can see the run down to turn 1, the right-hander. You can see the cars. Right, we are ready to go. 5 cars, qualifying to Heat 2. All eyes on that light on the left and the right. We are waiting to go. Racing for qualifying, and it is a green light here in Saudi Arabia, in NEOM. Let's see who's got the best start at the moment. It's Andretti United on the far right. They seem to be doing a good job. The McLaren, and then it's RXR trying to take on the line of Andretti United. This is going to be a close one coming into turn 1. You can see the sand flinging out all the way. McLaren taking the inside line and trying to sneak past Andretti United. Are they going to be able to do that? It looks like they're trying their might. But oh, that's a lot of air there for Faust. He's doing his stunt driving on this track, and it's not exactly what was required.
Full risk from Tanner Faust there, trying to catch up to Genesis Andretti United's Timmy Hansen, and that was just... It was a brilliant start by both of them. They got the traction we thought they might, didn't they, from that clean grid slot. So look for people tomorrow picking that right-hand side of the grid if they possibly can. Tanner Faust risked it about 3 times over those various grass tufts, but it was worth it because McLaren are P2.
Excite Energy struggling in 4th to see anything, just moving out to the right, and you can see Tanner Faust is on the same thing, but the pincer movement is going to come on this hard, rocky base, and it's Hansen flying at the moment for Andretti United. What a good job he did on that far right start, as you say. Really good call from the team.
Faust so late on the brakes. He looked late on the brakes into the ruts. You see the nose there of Excite digging down into it as well, just the guard underneath. And look how close Tanner Faust is now to Timmy Hansen. So Faust going ultra late on the brakes, carried the speed up onto the rocks at the top. He looks across to the right-hand side, going to try and go up the inside line here. Timmy Hansen out wide will get better exit speed. Faust is late on the brakes. Oh, he's so close now, tries to go on an alternate line down the hill on the other side. Tanner Faust has he found a better line than Hansen. You ride on board as he comes down the hill, look to the right-hand side. Not going to be quite close enough, I think. It looks like Andretti United's going to hold on to the lead for now.
Yeah, they were pushed into those channels, didn't have much of a say in it, but I can tell you what, that was a very close thing for Faust. Now he's got vision problems. He can't really see where he's going. The Andretti United kicking up some sand, but this bit more compacted. They come round. It's a beautiful scene set as they swerve their way through the desert in Saudi Arabia like Dune riders. This was the concept all along, and my word, it looks absolutely brilliant out there. Can Faust close down Hansen?
I'll tell you what, I'm impressed by Faust's pace here, because don't forget Hansen's had a season in the car. We know Andretti United got a season's worth of data. Faust now goes out wide and back in tight, looking for a better exit here. If he hasn't used his hyperdrive, I wonder if he will. Pretty sure this is where he deployed it. Look at Nasser Al-Attiyah's lines on the previous run. Faust goes all the way out to the outside, kicks up a couple of grass tufts on the inside line. I think they've all used them already, looking down the left-hand side. So into the dusk and across, back across again. Now we're on board further back. This must be with...
This is Arlen Kotelinski taking on Bennett, JBXC. Now Bennett uses his hyperdrive to try and defend that place. Can he keep on going? It looks like he can, and I have to say it's RXR that are all over the back. Arlen Kotelinski really wants that place. Can she get it? Don't think so quite yet.
She tried, didn't she? Went all the way out to the gate at the edge. When she brings it in, Kristoffersson will just want to be in touch. He'll want to be close enough. There's that big risky corner at the bottom of the hill. Need to check the times. Doesn't look like anybody's gone quicker than Hansen went before, but it's going to be super close, isn't it, between? So it's going to be Munnings versus Gilmore, and then it's going to be a case really of whether or not Molinaro or Kristoffersson can close the gap down. We haven't really seen anything of JBXC, so don't know how far they are back as Faust airs it out over the top, tucks into the right-hand side. Now as late as you dare on the brakes into the switch zone, and Faust again is late on the brakes, Jenny. That's the second time on this run, and he's closed the gap up again massively.
I mean, that looked like free-falling on a ski slope. It was so close, really impressive. This is the battle for third and fourth then, and you can see, I just think it was a little bit better entry from Arlen Kotelinski, and you can see this come in. It's like a little bit of bumping around, but she has managed to take it.
I think she broke the speed limit, Jenny. She had the nose of the car down, then you saw it fly back up and then go back down again. So I wonder if she's come off the pit lane speed limiter as she's come in. Bennett was all crossed up, wasn't he, on the brakes? Side by side would have been good enough, and then she's maybe come off the limiter and gone back on. Look at this start. Watch for Tanner Faust in the McLaren machine. So you've got Hansen, incredible traction off the line and away, but watch now, Tanner goes for an alternate line and just monsters it over the grass several times. Again, now he's trying to go through a narrow gap here. Boom, gets the rear end of the car fired up. I mean, it was full commitment.
So into the switch zone, you can see there are 5 bays. Driver comes out, they have to switch. Only one technician is allowed in that bay, and they must be in neutral before anyone else goes in. They're not in drive. This bit they're held for 45 seconds as a minimum. Trying to earwig. Couldn't quite hear what he was trying to tell Katie Munnings, but it will be Munnings taking over from Hansen in that battle for first place, and Gilmore taking over for Tanner Faust.
Pressure's on, isn't it, now? Because you know you've got to get it done, because they came in so close together, Jenny. They're going to leave immediately. What did you spot at the back there?
Yeah, just the angle. I think it was, unfortunately for us, the Andretti United and McLaren look a little bit similar. I think they're in bay 5, and the angle of the car wasn't ideal for getting back out. It was kind of pointed in slightly.
Looks like it might have been Katie from the steering angle. Yeah, it was, because the McLaren's nice and straight in the background, but quite a bit of time lost for McLaren. What's going on in the car? Emma Gilmore struggling to get the car away. So there's a problem for McLaren. They drop from P2 all the way down to P4. Oh, no, that's an absolute disaster. So McLaren are stuck in there. They've dropped all the way down to the back of the pack now. Emma Gilmore desperately trying to reset the car. Oh, that's such a shame. I was really looking forward to a great fight between them.
Absolute heartbreak. But this is going to be a good battle between RXR and Excite Energy. We've seen Tamara Molinaro has been an absolute star this weekend. Drafted in after their chosen driver, Clara Anderson, got COVID. Oh, they have managed to get underway in the McLaren. Well done, Emma Gilmore. Now you're going to have to just try and get out there and hunt everybody down. But Molinaro's had a really good session so far, and I'll be fascinated to see what she can do going up against Johan Kristoffersson, of all people, the reigning champion.
Yeah, Kristoffersson, of course, will have his eyes forward, and I think already has his eyes well forward on trying to close the gap down to Katie Munnings. I think it was around 13 seconds when they left the switch. It's 12 now. Munnings can manage that to some extent, and look, it's gone up a little bit as well, so it's you know, it's not a foregone conclusion at all. But 12 seconds is a closable gap. Katie will need to push to keep that gap open. She's well capable of it. We saw that at the end of last season. season, but it's not the same job as Gilmore's got now. Gilmore may as well cruise, Jenny. There's no point in risking it. They're going to probably end up, well, they are going to end up P5. So for her, I think they know they're in the crazy race tomorrow. Not where they wanted to be, but don't wreck the car before tomorrow. Different job, you know, at different ends of the field.
Yep, absolutely. Defending and attacking for Kristoffersson. He wants to close down on Munnings. Molinaro not quite shaken off yet, though, although that gap does seem to be growing at the moment. But this is a really good battle to see how... Oh, wowzers! That was a big old bump that Kristoffersson got there. The car bouncing all over the place.
Fired him offline big time. It's not what he needed. He had closed the gap down, looked at under 10 seconds, but I suspect it will have gone up again when we get to the next checkpoint. Munnings with the visor down. She's got, I love her concentration face, really reminds me of Petter Solberg, you know, constantly working the mouth. It's just one of those things where you can tell she's in full race mode now. Continental Traction Challenge area, the track over at the back. I doubt she'll be focusing on that right now.
Well, she knows that Timmy Hansen, her teammate, has that, so she doesn't even need to try and challenge for it. All she's got to do is not clip the waypoint flag, which I thought she was going to do, get the car round, the Munnings mouth working at overtime, and Kristoffersson hunting her down.
The gap's come down massively. It's only 5.6 seconds, so despite Kristoffersson's mistake, he is really coming in hot now on the back of the Andretti United machine. So Katie Munnings with a 5.1 second lead. There it is visibly, you can see she's got to try hard on the end of this lap, and Kristoffersson now uses his hyperdrive, full concentration mode, the 4-time World Rallycross champion and current Extreme E champion with RXR in the dust, absolutely lit. How close will he be?
My word, this is getting close as they come towards the end of this race, and I have to say, it is drama all the way. It's closing in all the time. 3.21 seconds now. Munnings has just got to keep ahead, but is she going to be able to do it? This is coming through to the final few turns, and this is one of the biggest challenges. You come down to this left.
This is the risky corner. She's lifted to keep it safe. Kristoffersson goes wide, lights it up now on the throttle, drops it to the line that Lance Woolridge took. He's down deep, look to the left-hand side. Whereabouts is Katie Munnings and Andretti United? He rejoins the track. We can't see Katie. There she is. He's right on the back of her now. They're going to race down the hill. Kristoffersson jumps to the inside line. He's going to use the gas now, try and pass Munnings on the run down the hill. Side by side towards the finish line. Johan Kristoffersson for RXR, the reigning champion, shows his class. Nicks the victory at the line. Katie Munnings right behind. What a finish. That was epic.
Wow, he is absolutely buzzing. You can see it. Look, the battle for third place now. It's Bennett and Molinaro coming down in Excite Energy, and then behind them is the JBXC team of Hansen and Taylor. My word, that was close as well, but congratulations to Bennett and Molinaro. They had a brilliant session out there.
Katie could have held Johan up.
Just trying to listen into what he's saying.
I reckon she could maybe have held him off, but she's gone with a low-risk approach to the corner where we've seen the massive crash, Jenny, and I'm not arguing with that approach. It wasn't for the win. If it was for the win tomorrow, I would have said risk it a bit more in that corner, but it's, you know what I mean? It's only qualifying. Yes, it will affect them a little bit, but they know they're going to be in one of the semis. It's all to play for there. I think that was the right approach. Johan, of course, took the other approach. He's chasing. It's always nicer to chase, isn't it? You've got that in your sights. He used that alternate line that Lance Woolridge, did he end up in it or did he pick it? Was that a little recce from Woolridge? And Kristoffersson looks like he was well aware of it already.
Oh, you're always thinking, everyone's so shrewd in your mind, and I'm just thinking, oh, he made a mistake. And you're like, maybe a calculated mistake.
Yeah.
And just to let you know, McLaren did finish in 5th place. Emma Gilmore managing to get that car across the line. We saw a lot of teams having problems, didn't we, last year with restarting the car, the switch zone. They'll get there, they'll learn the tricks that they need to. So 5th for the McLaren. Congratulations on their first qualifying session in a 5-car race.
So Kristoffersson climbs out the car. Absolutely brilliant run for him, but we're going to go and have a chat with our debutante.
Johan, what an epic chase that was, just getting Katie Munnings on that final drop down to the finish line. Talk me through it.
Yeah, I mean, on the final drop, I think I carry a bit more weight from the body, so I got a little bit better speed down there, but yeah, it was quite difficult to catch up with the dust. It was really dusty at points, but yeah, in the end it was...
Timmy Hansen here now as well. Just wishing you congratulations. A brilliant battle between the two of you. You took that line, didn't you? The second line that Lance Woolridge took as well. Just talk us through that decision there.
Yeah, that's where I ended up, so that was just how it was. I just adapted to the situation, and Yeah, but I also knew that we'll probably get a penalty from pit speed infringements. So I was more or less, I didn't really focus on Katie. I was more focusing on trying to have a good overall lap time. For if we get a couple of seconds of penalty, you know, it's always better to drive as fast as I could. So, but yeah, anyway, I'm happy. We had a very good day. So looking forward for tomorrow when they will actually hand out some championship points.
I can confirm you do have a 17-second penalty, I'm afraid to say. Sorry for the bad news, but you knew it was coming, though. Well done, Johan. A great race, regardless. Thanks so much. Look forward to tomorrow.
17 seconds is a disaster, Jenny, because JBXE was 16.2 back, so it's dropped them as far back as it could have done. And remember, that's not the stewards deciding to put them there. That's how fast were they going, and it's like 1 second per kilometre an hour or whatever. So we saw that, didn't we? And you were dead right. So not so calculated as I thought. That's where I ended up, is what Johan said, but he made it work, didn't he? And now everybody knows it can work. It's an alternate line.
Yeah, very much so. Although I just think that that whole area is one where you need to offer extreme caution, isn't it? Let's see a wig. Oh no, they're going to be speaking Swedish. See, they beat us in the curling. Now they beat us by speaking Swedish.
Life.
I hope I haven't just blown it if anyone was watching the curling gold medal battle earlier today. Sorry if I have.
So did Andretti United get on the radio and say to Katie Munnings they're likely to get a penalty? I think not, and as I say, I think there's a bit more risk there if they need it. I think it's a calculation from Katie and a good one, because at the end of the day, Timmy Hansen and Katie Munnings have won Q2 Heat 2. And of course, this actually does confirm that X44 will be the top qualifiers again. They remain unbeaten as they do that. And a brilliant result for Bennett Molinaro.
Yeah, Excite managing to finish second in the end, which is a brilliant result for that. I'm delighted for them, actually, because they've put a lot of hard work into this championship.
See, that pass for Kristoffersson, didn't think about it at the time, but this was the mistake. We didn't think about it at the time. Well, you saw the nose of the car come up a little bit. But that pass for Kristoffersson, Jenny, was actually for top qualifier, because if they'd won the race, they would have outscored X44 and they'd have got it. So he got it, and then just a few seconds later, it's taken away because of the 17-second penalty. So there's Chris Munnings, Katie's dad in the background, and now they're heading out the front. Look, caps on, pros, good to go, great job.
Delighted for them. A big smile on Katie Munnings' face, understandably. She fought hard in that.
Really hard.
Almost held him off, and then with the penalty anyway, it didn't matter. So these are your classifications at the end of today. As you can see, X44 again, top qualifiers. They'll go through to a race with Bennett and Kristoffersson in the semis. Hansen, Leduc and Alataya for Apt. For Chickanassi and for Andretti United, just testing me there, going through to the other semi in the crazy race. Wow. That's going to be
First time
crazy.
we've had 4 cars in the crazy race, and that was the point of the name, really, was that it was always going to be 1 car going through. So yeah, Acciona Science, JBXE, McLaren and Veloce, if Veloce are there.
Huge smiles all round down here at Genesis Andretti United. Katie Munnings, look at that grin. Talk me through that, because you had Johan hunting you down, but at that point, did you know he has to have a speeding infringement into the pit lane?
To be honest, you just kind of focus on your own race. Obviously, I didn't want to take any risk. We have to, sorry, it's like Noddy in the background. We have to remember, though, that, you know, it's only qualifying, and I think it's really easy for the red mist. So I just thought, okay, even if he overtook me, there's only a point between it in quali. So we took the safe approach, but Timmy just did an amazing job off the start. So yeah, I was happy not to be sat in any dust, and credits to him, because he's always good on the launch.
Talk me through that grid position as well, Timmy. Right out there, position 5 seems to be the good one. I think everyone will be looking for that tomorrow.
It was interesting because for the other group that chose before us, that inside slot was the one that got picked last. So then I was kind of worried if I'm doing the right thing, but it paid off. You know, it turned out that we got that inside line. We've got a great car and got a great jump off the line. So yeah, it's a big advantage to not to have the dust, and I was able to make a good lap. I saw Tanner in my mirrors, kind of wild, you know, but it was a fun race, and I enjoyed it a lot. I think I put together a good lap, and so did Katie, and yeah, this is our first proper, you know, win in a session, isn't it?
Apart from Greenland, where we won
Greenland, yeah, I did forget that.
And the semi-final we won, but yeah, okay. This year, yeah, well done.
Okay, this season, Timmy, yeah. Thank you very much. Clearly gone to your head already. Feels like the final already, does it?
Too often.
There we go, that's it. Thank you so much.
Great to see that, isn't it, Katie? Fully ripping into Timmy. Brilliant.
Yeah, really good session for them. Now, we are here to race for a reason. This is a championship with a real purpose. Laura's been catching up with Professor Richard Washington, part of our scientific committee, to find out why it's so important we're here.
Well, I'm here with Professor Richard Washington in front of, I think, one of the most stunning backdrops there is in all of sport. And we're here to talk about science. Of course, you are chair of the Extreme E Science Committee. Tell us what that's about and what your role entails.
The Science Committee plays an advisory role to Extreme E in terms of the themes of climate change that underpin each of the races. And we also oversee the legacy projects that are attached to each of those races.
We're here, of course, in the desert, dry sand now, obviously rainfall overnight. But of course, the environmental issues, what are they that affect this area?
Well, in a funny way, water defines deserts, and extreme heat is beginning to as well. They're warming faster than many regions on the Earth, and that warming is happening on top of incredibly high temperatures in the summer months, 50 degrees and so on. And of course, the kind of rain that we've seen overnight is just skimming the edge of the desert. And if that rain were to shift just a little bit further north, then that would be the end of most of the rainfall for a region like this.
And talk to us as well about the legacy projects, because Extreme E is racing with a purpose and it wants to leave that lasting legacy wherever it goes. So what happens here in Saudi Arabia?
We've got two legacy projects, one that was begun last year to do with turtles, funded by the Bar Foundation. Turtles are affected by climate change in several ways. The sea levels damaging their breeding ground, the rise in sea level, and the change in temperatures altering the gender of the hatchlings, predominantly becoming male on the back of those warming temperatures. Also this year, new to the desert race is the regreening, rewilding efforts funded by NEOM, which see a restoration of the desert environment, which has been hammered over the last few decades. And that sees the introduction of trees and reptile species and so on, recreating the ecosystems that were once here.
It's an ambitious number, isn't it, as well? They want to plant over 20 years.
It is. It's a great number of trees, but then in the case of the race in Senegal, the goal was a million mangroves. So yes, the bar is set high, and these are the sort of things that are necessary if we're to rehabilitate damaged areas.
Absolutely shows the impact as well Extreme E can have. Thank you very much to you, Richard.
Thank you.
So that's Professor Richard Washington talking to us about the importance of racing here in the desert in NEOM and why it's so important that we all make a difference and make a change. This is Jutta. Earlier on, she was really struggling out on track. They had a problem with their power steering. They had a big collision as well, but apparently Nasser Al-Attiyah was struggling with that before it even started. I'm delighted to say Jutta Kleinschmidt has joined us in the commentary box. Jutta, that looked like hard work.
Yes, it was hard work. So it broke already during the round of Nasser, and I took the car over, and it was the same. I stopped once, tried to fix it, but unfortunately we lost the oil, so definitely there was no chance to have the power steering back.
So Jutta, did that damage happen in the contact with the Sainz car for Nasser, or was the steering broken before the contact? Do you know?
It was, as far as we know, broken before, and that's what Nasser confirmed.
Okay, so that would have made it really hard for him to change lines. We can understand that.
Jutta, we're just watching now the onboards from the last qualifying session. What did you make of it? It was exciting for us.
Yeah, for this last one was amazing, I would say. It was really exciting and a lot of changing of positions, in my opinion, and fighting. And yeah, so I think that was a good race.
How hard is it, the conditions out there, and the first sort of multi-car qualifying races that we've seen?
The thing is that you can see we had rain over the night, so that was good. We had no dust this morning, but the dust is coming back now, and that makes it hard because in the fight, first of all, if you're behind, you have to choose another line, and you can see there's a lot of this kind of camel grass hills, we call them, and if you hit them, the car really gets a hit and jump to the left and the right, and you could see that because you have to take another line, otherwise you're in the dust.
And how are the ruts, Jutta? Because we're seeing a couple of the big braking zones at the bottom of the hills, but also the braking zone up to that rocky area. That the ruts look like they're getting quite deep now.
Yeah, this is after the rocks, especially out of the rocks. You have a corner, a very tight right corner, and they are very deep hole now. So this part is very difficult to drive.
It looks very difficult. It looks very challenging, I have to say. But we saw some exemplary driving, didn't we? Is there how much tactics you to go into this, do you think?
Oh yes, it's, you can see. First, it's important which position you start. So as we had this problem in the first qualifying, we started.
Jutta, hold that thought for us. We'll come back to you in a sec.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, Extreme E's driver lineup is the envy of many other motorsports, with a compelling mix of exciting new talent and some of the most successful off-road racers of all time. We're going to catch up with two of the class of 2022.
What I am doing, you know, it was a dream long time to be a champion in Dakar. Now I win 4 times, you know. This time we are ready to win Extreme E. I'm Nasser Al-Attiyah, driver for AB Cupra XE.
Nasser Al-Attiyah is a Qatari sporting icon, 16 times Middle East Rally champion, 2-time WRC2 champion and 4 times Dakar Rally winner. Not only a world-class racer, Nasser is an Olympic medalist in skeet shooting.
2012 in London, I get the bronze medal, and it was amazing feeling for me.
Fresh off the back of winning the 2022 Dakar Rally, beating both Sebastian Loeb and Carlos Sainz en route to victory, he knows he can go toe-to-toe with Extreme E's best.
My goal to win, but we need to respect everybody. Sebastian Loeb will be really quite fast. We know each other very well, you know. We have also Carlos. We need to enjoy and to do our best, and if we can finish top 3, will be amazing for the first race for us.
When I'm behind the wheel, I take it incredibly seriously. I am uber competitive. I don't take any prisoners. It comes down to how competitive you are as a person and how much you kind of want it inside. I'm Katie Munnings, driver for Genesis Andretti United. Motorsport was something that I completely grew up with since I was born. My first memory is sitting in the passenger seat of a rally car that my dad was driving. I remember being terrified, and once we'd survived the lap, I remember being addicted to the adrenaline of it. I never went through the karting ranks. I've probably been karting twice in my life and I'm rubbish. So for me, it's always been off-road, and then I moved into grass auto testing when I was 14 and rallying from there.
Katie's raced in a host of different off-road and rally series, including the World and European Rally Championships.
I never thought that motorsport was a career. I always thought it was for lucky people, and now I kind of have to pinch myself every now and then because I realise I am one of those lucky people now.
Season 1 of Extreme E saw Katie on the podium 3 times, including a race win in Greenland. But her competitive focus will be pushing her towards even more success in Season 2.
Our ambition is always to win. We know we're capable of it, we know we're fast enough. My ambition is always to be as fast as the guys, and to be as fast as the fastest guys out there.
Well, we've seen plenty of action, and we're delighted to welcome McLaren to the fun of Extreme E. So let's hear from their drivers in the paddock with Laura Winter.
Well, Emma, Tanner, I mean, disappointing there. Emma, we'll start with what was going on. There seemed to be an issue with starting the car again after the switch zone. What was going on? We could see you desperately trying to reset it and get going.
Yeah, we just went to go for drive and nothing happened. So, yeah, and it was like, what am I doing wrong? And yeah, no, so yeah, just a fault there. And it was just so disappointing because Tanner had done such a great job to get us in a really good position. So, yeah, the seconds are just ticking by, and then you've got to do a whole reboot cycle, and yeah, very frustrating.
Is that something that can be resolved ahead of tomorrow?
I imagine so, I hope so.
Yeah, very much so, because tomorrow sees the crazy race. If today wasn't a baptism of fire, tomorrow certainly will be. You'll have Sainz, JBXE and hopefully Veloce if they get a car out. Tanner, after a great run today, what are your thoughts on that?
I thought it was pretty hairy. There were a lot of moments there. I mean,
up until now, we've been able to choose our own line, but once you're with another car, it's a totally different story. You sort of have to take what's given to you. It's good to race with Timmy, to race with him rallycross quite a lot. I tried some different lines to learn, and honestly, it was the most learning that I've done so far as what line works and what doesn't. Mainly what doesn't, unfortunately. But yeah, we got a red light, which in the terms with these vehicles means that it won't go into drive. So I really feel bad for Emma on that, and just put her out there like 25 seconds late. So hopefully better luck next time.
Winner takes all tomorrow, all to play for in the crazy race. Best of luck to you both. Thank you.
Brilliant interview there with Tanner, wasn't it? A bit hairy. I learnt more than I've learnt so far. He was having to take some crazy old lines, wasn't he? Been a brilliant day, I think.
Really good, and you can just see we're lined up for some brilliant semi-finals tomorrow. 2 go through from semi-final 1, 2 go through from semi-final 2 into the final, and then 1 car from the Crazy Race will progress. It is a crazy life. We hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a brilliant day of action for the Desert X Prix. Make sure you come back tomorrow to see all of the action as the semi-finals and final get underway. But from all of us here, goodbye, good evening, good night.
Hyperdrive now.